Now we're going to talk about the fit section of the bridge technique. Okay, we're going to talk about the exact contact technique that we want when we're delivering the bridge. But before we do that, I want to explain kind of the purpose of the bridge, what it does. In traditional football, the way some of us were taught, we would come out and strike on a horizontal plane where we're driving and pushing a guy backwards to kind of when we're blocking. The bridge is a little different. It's more effective and it offers more control because it deflects force. So when an opponent, a defensive opponent, is coming forward, he's usually got a forward body lean, some kind of a tilt forward, and the bridge helps deflect that, deflect his force as opposed to trying to stop him on a horizontal plane. So as let's say, for instance, Mike's tilted forward, I'm connecting with him in space. I want to strike here to try to get his upper body to move. And that's a little easier to do than trying to just, boom, try to stick him and move him backwards. And it also offers more control, and of course, we're trying to extract the helmet from contact. So the bridge technique is a deflection of force. It's really very effective for one-on-one situations, stock blocks by receivers, second level blocks by offensive linemen, running backs on pass protection. These are blocks in space, and it's really great as a block on the line of scrimmage in one-on-one base blocking situations between offensive linemen and tight ends and defenders, defensive linemen lined up on the line of scrimmage. So it operates with the same principles. We're going to talk about now the mechanics of the bridge fit, okay? So we talked about the posture of the two-point coil. We got into the teetering, then the uncoiling. Now it's time to talk about where we're going to connect on the fit, okay? So let's talk first about the placement of the hands and the angle and relationship. We're going to talk about the 90-degree rule, okay? So the 90-degree rule is very important to understand. We're trying to deflect this player by moving his upper body, by changing the tilt of his upper body. If I've got a guy coming at me with his head down like this, and I can just, all I got to do is take him from this position where I'm at right now to this position, and I can control him. It doesn't take a whole lot of force. Now, it takes a lot of technique, but we're not trying to impact this guy. It's not about how hard I can hit a guy. It's about how effective we can be with our mechanics. So the 90-degree rule says that our forearms, our fit, wants to be in line at about a 90-degree or perpendicular angle to the angle of the man. Ready, set, go. Boom, here. Notice, look at the angle of my arm. You know, it's give or take about 90 degrees. Now that's going to give me the best opportunity to lift him up, okay, and to get him to where I want him so I can close, climb, and finish. As opposed to, if Mike comes out, if I strike here, that's probably not that right angle, right? If I strike here, that's not the right angle. We're not getting the force deflection we want. So the same is true if the guy's in space. There might be some different angles that you'll see as far as guys leaning and tilting, but that's the 90-degree rule, and it holds up to in all phases of our hand-to-hand combat with tip of the spear techniques, the bridge and pillar, because again, it's about disrupting the upper body to get him to this position as opposed to just trying to smash him and move him backwards. One point just to clarify things on the 90-degree rule. We are talking about the forearm, the hand, as it relates to the fit on the breastplate. So we're not talking about the angle of the bend of the arms. We'll get to that later. But this is really the 90-degree rule. We want to have this relationship at about a 90 degree to disrupt force and momentum of an opponent, a defender in this case, to gain control and finish the block. Now we're going to talk about the specific anatomy of the hand, the part of the hand that we want to engage our opponent with, our defender. That's going to give us the most power and transfer of force on impact, but also spare our fingers from injury. You don't want to go and hit with your fingers. You're going to get hands like this. You know, you see guys walking around, they got bad fingers because they didn't really know where to put their hands or how to strike. So that happens. We don't want to impact this defender with anything soft like our fingers. It's not going to work. We want to strike him with the best surface area possible. That's what we call the tip of the spear, and that is the portion of the heel of the hand opposite of the thumb. So you can see it's right here on both sides, okay? So that's the most dense surface area to strike with. It lines up nicely with the ulna bone, okay? So we want to make sure that when we engage our defender, we are striking with that and that alone. That'll be a really impactful strike, and it secures a good fit with our fingers out of contact. We don't want to strike any of this with our fingers because, number one, you can injure our fingers, but really we're going to be slowing down the kinetic energy of our strike. All that force we generated from our hips is going to get, slightly nullified by our fingers touching first, and it just hurts. So we don't want to do it. We want to try to turn our thumbs out. So we're going to strike with that surface. There's a process to get there. Let's talk about now. We want to talk about the placement of contact. So you want to strike this defender right about here, okay? So you can see some pads are a little bit different, but you want to get underneath the ridge line of the pad right there. This is the optimal position right here. If I go too high, then I'm really not getting lift because I'm just moving maybe his shoulders, but he's able to be in a stable position. So we're trying to get lift and we want to get bite. And this is where we want to get the bite. So if I turn my thumb out, if you can get a shot of that, my thumb's out, I'm in this position here. If Mike tries to push forward, boom, see, I can elevate. And that's what the goal is of this contact system is. We're trying to elevate, we're trying to reroute, deflect force upward. So when you're coming up out of your uncoil toward the fit, you want to rotate the thumbs out. You don't want to start with your thumbs out. You get more force transfer as you rotate up, as your thumbs rotate outward, you're supinating the wrists and you're actually further driving your elbows within the frame. That's important. We don't want our elbows to come out. We talk about that a lot. But what we're really trying to do is as we're coming up low to high, we're rotating our hands out, we're trying to drive our elbows in, okay? And that'll help us land our tip of the spear. The next thing is we want to engage the defender at length, but not at full length. We have to have about 120-degree bend in the elbows to be able to lift him. That's very important. If I strike long, I'm not going to get any lift. So I want to strike at about 120 degrees. You know, I'm going to have plenty of opportunity to get lift there. And the last thing is, and this is very important, there's different fits and handles, and we talk about that stuff in some of our advanced techniques in the tip of the spear library and usafootball.com. When we're striking with our thumbs out, we're rotating, and we really want to have our hands at a 10 and 2 position. So 2 o'clock to the right, 10 o'clock to the left, and that's going to give us a good solid fit. What that does is it allows us to lift. We have an ability to lift, right? We also have an ability to deliver an impact, so we can deflect some force with some kind of an impact. And the other thing is it also gives us lateral stability. So if the defender goes this way, I can work him that way. I can start to control him with laterally. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. Other fits that you might see, sometimes guys will fit like this. Well, the problem with this fit, it has an application, but it doesn't provide any lateral stability. So if the defender goes that way, I can't control him. Okay, so this gives us the best of all worlds for base blocks. The bridge fit gives us the best of all worlds where we can control, we can deflect force, control stability laterally, and finish the block.